Alright, here is an interesting video. I was originally going to do solo tapes of both of my Mieles I have currently until I just discovered a problem with my dynamic E1 Salsa PowerLine. This is why you should never ever use generic bags on a Miele. As you can see here, this collar separated itself from the bag, and as you can see here, it leaked not just inside the bag chamber, but even it managed to escape through the pre-motor filter and through the motor and into the air clean filter. So these vortex motors that these Mieles use are very delicate. This is why they say you should only use high clean bags, because they are the best bags on the market. They may be pricey, but they do the best job at filtering, and they also help keep the motor from burning up as much as the generic bags if you were to use them. Some Mieles you probably could get away with using, like my Red Star, because it doesn't use a vortex motor. But even with one little speck of dust could change, if not guarantee, the lifespan of the motor inside of this. So anyways, because of it, this video, this by itself, is now put on hold because I really have to take apart the entire machine to clean everything else up. Luckily, these vortex motors are serviceable, but they're not always guaranteed to work like the way they came from the factory. Sometimes you probably have to end up replacing them as a result. Anyways, but I'm still going to go ahead and talk about it a bit as well. So I've had this now for 2 years. I got it from the thrift store for $15, and this was the condition it was in when I found it. It only has the crevice tool, but other than that, it works luckily well. I mean, other than having the dust get inside the back chamber, it still sounds like it's healthy. Like, I don't, at least from close enough to my ear, I didn't notice any bearing issues going on inside. So, but this is definitely one of the reasons why I prefer Sebo over Miele. I brought that up because they're both made in Germany. They both share similar parts, like the Domel motors and even accessories from Wieselwerk. But also, they even get the same company to make the cords and plugs for both of them, like my Essential G1 that I just got done taping. So I still really like Miele, but I know Sebo is one of those companies you can get away with using generic bags. Although, if you do that, you risk voiding your warranty. So I would not recommend doing that whatsoever. So this Red Star I've had now for about 6 or 7 years now. I got it from the thrift store for $7, and this was also the condition it was in when I found it. Doesn't have the power nozzle or wand, or even inside of here the dusting brush. But thankfully, this previous owner had been taking pretty good care of their Miele, because if we open up inside of here, not only they've been using genuine Miele filters, but also genuine bags as well. So another reason why genuine Miele bags are the best bags on the market is that you can pack these like a sack of flour and it would still have a ton of power through them. Now, as I said before, that this is a type of Miele that you could get away with using a generic bag, although I would highly not recommend doing so unless if you have no choice, is that this uses a twin fan Amatec motor that's actually a pretty reliable motor and could handle with a little speck of dust inside of it. Even though it's using generic or genuine parts, it's not very clean inside, but back then, this is way before cloth synthetic bags came into the market, so I just wanted to point that out. Other than that, this still runs really healthy. Even the bearings are still in good condition as well. So anyways, I'm really happy that I have both of these. This Miele is actually one of my all-time favorite canisters ever from the company because I just really like the looks of it. And it's also a really nice machine overall. It's very quiet, it cleans great, reliable. I mean, it's not uncommon for me to see these machines last for a very long time. Maneuverable as well. I am generally not a huge fan of canisters myself, but I really do like that these don't use the big plastic wheels like a Kenmore would use. So it's much more maneuverable to carry or push around with this. And it's also one of these Mieles that just doesn't really add the extra bells or whistles to the machine. So it just only has the variable speed controller and the overheating light. So the more simple you have the machine, the better. And that's why that if I were to recommend a Miele to anybody on the market today, that I would look into the C1 Classic PowerLine home carry. It's very similar to this, if not the same, you know, because it also does have the variable speed controller as well. But even that one has many more improvements that, you know, that were later addressed from this. You know, it's much lighter and such. Yeah, because like I said, it doesn't have the extra bells and whistles. That's like one of, if not the most reliable canisters I've seen on the market. Even I would personally pick one of those over this as well, even though I'm more of an upright person. So I've also wanted one of these for quite some time, because ever since they were introduced and released into the market, I just thought that they were really cool looking machines in general. Not my most favorite overall, I should say, because it is a pretty big and bulky machine to use. Not like heavy to use like a Kirby, at least if you're talking about the second generation as a Classic 3, for example, since it's also read like this. But some of the other things I also don't personally care about on these machines that I do prefer better on the canisters is that the hose, it's stretched, whereas this is pretty much fixed to where if you were to like clean like a couch, and if you were to like restrict the suction, it would kind of feel like it would tip over. Although with this particular variant, you'd have the hose coming in on the bottom, and even have it on the locking position to where it would prevent from tipping over. But these particular type of machines are guaranteed to not do that at all whatsoever. And not to mention with these hoses as well, this is pretty much a design flaw, but I've seen hoses that can actually get crushed over time. I think that's one of the reasons why they discontinued these machines for good. Another reason is that it's not a light machine. Well, it is definitely lighter than some of the other vacuums I can think of, like a Kirby and such, but when it comes to pushing and such, it's not like the most easiest ever. But other than that, it's a really, really good machine. Yeah, if they were still making these today, I would have highly recommended them. And I wish they were still making these today, because for the fact that this, even though this has been out for quite some time, it still holds up to some of the modern standards, just by, how quiet it is, how powerful, for the fact that it has a swivel neck and such. And even these have gotten higher ratings from like consumer magazines and such. So, and I also will say that I actually do prefer the way the handle feels more than on some of the Miele canisters. But yeah, overall, not my most favorite, but it's definitely a machine I would for certain take over a Recari R25. That's for certain. So anyways, I'd love to do another video of both of these at some point, because again, I am missing the power head on the canister, and of course I've got to take down and service the whole entire thing on the Salsa. But nonetheless, just still, I thought I'd go ahead and show it off, because who knows when I'm ever going to get into stuff like that. So go ahead and show off the rest of the machine here. So this particular model is a 321-I. They also do make another red star that's in more of a red color, whereas this is more maroon. On the Miele here, the upright that is, flip it over. As you can see, made in Germany. I also really do like these brush holes as well. They're pretty nice. And another thing I also will say I could care less about these uprights as well is for the fact that these are automatic adjusting, where I prefer a manual on a canister. They say that this is your height adjuster right here, but honestly, this is just a variable speed controller like on the Red Star. It does have indicator lights to let you know that the machine is on and the power nozzle is rotating on the carpet. They call it the home care because, or the PowerLine, is because these are the type of machines that come with the extra warranty, which I do believe that is worth getting. Because even I would recommend the classic C1 home care PowerLine over the white cat and dog for that very reason as well. Actually, maybe not with this one. I don't think this is the home care line, but I know for a fact that I have seen other U1 machines that say home care, and that should guarantee to come with a warranty. And those particular type of Miele's are only sold through dealers. You can't get them online, which is good because you go over to your store and you support your local business. So anyways, without further ado, I will just go ahead and run the red start. I will not be able to show this one running. That will be some other time. Oh, and another reason why I do prefer the canisters over the uprights as well is that they have a cord rewind mechanism as well, which I'm a huge fan of. So anyways, plug this in. And I'll definitely have to take this bare floor tool off so I can show you the suction power of it. And other than dusting both of these machines off, the only other thing I did was just to vacuum it off from this, just to make sure that this is still working just fine, which it is. So anyways, let's go ahead and turn this on. Anyways, not quite the video I wanted to make, but hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.